How's it going?
Good.
Good.
Are you sure? It seems
We
like
need
I'm the
whatever
only one
you're
that's lit,
drinking.
and you guys have the red cups, and I got the clear one. Y'all are. Oh, hello, guys. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Asking for a Friend, the UG Chick edition. We're going into part 3 of our 3-part series talking about race relations and, you know, what it means to be Black in America. And so we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Samantha.
And I'm your girl, Aisha.
And I'm Sophia.
And today we have a lovely guest. That was so like television, right? So today we have, and to our right here, we have such a lovely guest and very, very, very dear friend. Her name is Jasmin, and Miss Jasmin is a podcaster as well. I'll let her go into a little bit about her podcast, but she's also a fashion designer.
Yes.
Woo, woo, woo.
And her line is called "So What? Who Cares?"
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can find her on social media. I think it's Jasmin _ so what?
No, it's Jazzy. So what? So JAZI_SEWWHAT.
Yes, we'll plug it at the bottom for you guys. But anyway, check her out. She does really cool clothes. I'll post some of my clothes that she's done for me. She's really, truly amazing. Anyway, so this episode, of course, with the Asking for a Friend crew, we're putting together just a discussion on what it is to be women and young women in the diaspora today, in today's world. This will be more of an in-depth conversation that centers around the center theme of what to be a woman is. Well, I guess we should say a woman of color. Mm-hmm. Of course, everyone is different in their own unique way. But join us as we discuss heartache, laugh about a few things, consult Google, and do all that good jazz.
All right, so this episode is sponsored by Tukola. This series was brought to you by Tukola Foundation. This is a group of like-minded individuals that wish to address some of the pressing business and social issues in our common diaspora experience. They do this through business networking and information sharing on entrepreneurship and education, and also giving back to those that are experiencing hardships in and around the community. You can find more information about them on all social media networks at Tukola DFW.
Yes. Let's start the show!
I don't know what you're having.
You're not done? I'm sorry. Find them on all social media platforms at Tukola DFW. Facebook. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So, guys, today we're going to be talking about the gap between African immigrants and African Americans.
Yes.
I feel like on the last episode, I don't know if y'all were listening, that Lambert said that we're all African Americans.
He said our children
are
African Americans.
The first generation.
We're just immigrants. We're just regular schmegular. But our children, they're African American. And that was like,
right?
We had not thought about that. So what do you think about that? What's your take on that?
You're all African Americans.
All of us.
But you know, right? I was thinking about it afterwards.
Right. African Americans.
African transplants in America.
African American.
Yeah, I totally agree.
True.
I was thinking about it after we recorded, throughout the week. And I was like, but it's not just our kids. Like, most of us have even gone to school here.
Right.
And we've like embodied the culture here. So yeah, I think all of us are African American, you know, and yeah, I mean, when we go home, that they're looking at us like African American. So what do you guys think is the difference between the two groups of people, and what do you think the difference lies between each group?
No, I think definitely the culture aspect. I think African Americans, there's definitely a specific culture versus like if you're a Ugandan American, African American, Ugandan African American, or like a Nigerian American.
Yeah.
Like you have, I think the cultural thing is probably what has definitely
That's the difference.
is the
Yeah.
difference and cause maybe more of the I don't know,
The conflict.
the conflict.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, we're not as good as like wanting to learn about. And I think it's not just African American and like African, even amongst African cultures too. So
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the culture definitely. And I think even just because I feel like the way we raise our kids is very similar. Like in
African parents, like
yeah, in a black home.
you don't play.
We don't play
In a black home, there's no room for games. That's
Yeah.
a black home, period.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like, of course, like food and certain aspects of the culture. But like, there's some, I think for me, I definitely would want to get more. Like, I've realized now growing up that I don't know a lot about African American culture here, especially like when it comes to food. Because whenever I look back, I realize like, oh, like a lot of the food is based off like, of course, like Africans back home, but with a twist,
Right.
you know? So that's what I realize is the difference, like between us, like maybe the food and maybe, you know, culture aspect, like kneeling down whenever you're greeting an elder, you know. But there's some aspects that are so similar that you can't. That they're even similar, maybe, but like the same. Like no playing, respect your elders. Who are you talking to?
Absolutely.
I'm not one of your little friends.
Right.
No, I think I read there was a thread about black families, how they raise their kids, and there was all that kids that they wrote what their parents used to tell them, and that was one of them. Like everyone saying, "Yes, I'm not one of your little friends."
Jasmine, what do you think?
So, and I'm laughing with you guys because I'm laughing because I completely understand. I have older parents, so growing up, I realized that there wasn't much difference in my household,
Right.
having older parents and the African friends that I had, their household.
Right.
Because my parents are a lot like African parents. They're very strict.
Right.
Where's the rest of the grade? Like you got
Right,
an
yeah,
A,
what do
but
you-
where's
that's
the rest
nice.
of it?
Yeah.
Like they're very strict, very harsh, but they're also very loving.
Right.
And a lot of my friends didn't understand that because their parents were younger.
Right.
Like we're looking at now, like, man, you guys have young parents, your kids are practically the same age as you. But yeah, having older parents, I think, played a significant role in how I developed. Only because like it definitely kept you focused.
Right.
It definitely kept you
Yeah.
like down a path where it's like, nah, I'm not trying to get mixed up in that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I know the
Right.
consequences of
Yeah.
that.
Right.
So,
You had some accountability, like you knew.
absolutely. Absolutely.
At the end of the day. Whoosh.
Oh
No
yeah,
joke.
strict hand
Yes.
of discipline was
Right.
held in our household. Held.
So what do you guys think of the what do you guys think is the origin? I don't want to say origin of divide sounds like so like you're over there and I'm over here.
Right.
But we can definitely agree that there's some static.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
And because I think I'd mentioned the last time on the episode that like I had to hide my identity a little bit, you know, but I even felt that because the middle school that I went to, the first middle school I went to, I didn't necessarily have to do that because there were a bunch of the African kids, but, and I didn't notice at the time that African kids and the African American kids like were separate, you know,
Right.
They didn't really
Mm-hmm.
intermingle, mix around or anything like that. So then when I went to the second middle school, the one where I had to be like, I'm South African, you know, I'm not, what? I'm Jamaican. So when I, in that school, there were all of like 10 black kids. Like
Yeah.
it really
Wow.
wasn't that many of us.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I remember when I said I was African, like I used to get a lot of flack from the white kids and the black kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such like a, but I thought
The skin color,
like, we
yeah.
should be the
of
same.
confusion,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
we're the same. So I guess I don't even know if I thought about it like, oh, let me go sit over there. It's like all the black kids are sitting over there. Let me go hang out, but like from the small comments, like, "Oh, you African?" Or like I would get, "Why's your hair like that?" And it's
Yeah.
like, "But we have the same hair." I don't
I
understand.
know.
So I don't know where that divide or static came from. But I think that things have gotten better in a sense.
Right.
The lines have definitely blurred.
Yeah, they've blurred for sure. But I think in order for everybody to feel like as one, it's still, I think it's a conversation that we need to talk about in the Black community.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
why is that?
Yeah.
Right.
I think for so long, labels as far as like race were so important. Like, okay, you're Black, but what kind of Black are you?
Right, right.
Yeah.
And just the excitement of I'm so sorry. Just the excitement of being exotic was just like, oh wow. And I think that's kind of making its way back around. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm Black,
Right,
but I'm
yeah.
Dominican, but I'm
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
and
right.
it's like, but when you're here in America, that's why I was like, you're African American, because at the end of the day, you're
Yeah.
just
Because you're here.
Yeah.
Right.
like that's literally how they see you.
Right, right.
Oh,
They're
can I
not
not say that?
differentiating.
Okay.
You're not.
But no, serious.
No,
No,
that's
that's
true.
true.
And that's
Yeah.
why I feel like I'm an outlier, only because I'm from Miami. I was born in Miami. I lived in Miami for quite some years, and then we moved to Texas. And living in Texas is like, wow, there's so many. What, Muzungos? See, I be learning. I love that word though. But it's like it's a cultural shock.
Right.
Just being a Black American,
Yeah.
it's like there's a culture shock living around people that don't look like you.
Right.
And then moving to an area where there's so many people that look like you, but then there's so like I've never
Yeah.
when I first saw a Black person speaking Spanish, I was like,
Okay.
what is that? I was like, where did you learn that? They're like, I'm Cuban. What? Is that in Miami? Because there's little Havana. It's like,
Yeah.
no. You take a boat to this place. What? And then I met Africans and I met Haitians, and it's just
Yeah.
like, wow.
Right, right.
This is amazing. But then again, like, I'm not like everyone else. A lot of people are
Right.
like, you're what? You speak what?
Right.
Mm-mm.
No.
Like, a lot of people have a distaste
Taste-
for that.
right.
Yeah.
But I feel like for the most part, Black Americans are welcoming. And I think that's to our benefit as well as to our detriment.
Right.
Like,
Right.
we've
Yeah.
invited so many people in that it's just like, not now we got to put labels on it because
Right.
everybody
right.
can't come to the barbecue.
Yeah.
Right. Nowadays.
There you go.
But at the end of the day, Black is Black.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true. I think, especially for Africans, I think the media depiction of African Americans,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, has
Absolutely.
tainted, and
Yeah.
like everyone
Absolutely.
comes with a preconceived notion of like, oh, Black Americans are this way, or they're like only the negative aspects
yeah.
of it.
Media.
Well, personally, I moved here at an older age, and moving here, I thought African Americans like were way better. Like, and I would stare, like give them that look, like, oh my God, I want to speak like them. Not really speak, but I want to
Emulate them.
emulate, you know,
Yeah.
some of their ways and everything. I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
The way they pronounce some words,
Yeah.
the way they do.
It's crazy. I was the opposite.
No, my first job, like guys, like my first job, like during break time, I would stare at these ladies speak the everything. Yes,
You
it
were
was just
like,
interesting for me to
Classes in session.
be part of that other culture, and which was different for me because I just not to really look at the white people. Like I looked at them like normal people, but African Americans, they were way
Yeah.
different from me, and I found them interesting. And today, I have two friends that are African Americans that are so interested in learning more about
Absolutely.
my culture.
Yeah.
I was like,
Absolutely.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because
They're
when
really-
you think about it, like we're really not that
Yeah.
separate. The only thing
Yeah.
that differentiates us is geography.
Yeah.
Right.
Like literally,
yeah.
you come from a land over there.
Yeah.
Everything looks like. I was speaking to one of our mutual friends one day, and she was just like, "Wait, that's a sweet potato?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a sweet potato." She's like, "But it's orange." I was like,
yeah, that was
yes.
a mind
Oh,
fuck
yeah.
for me too.
"Our potatoes are this color." She's like,
Yeah.
"No, they're supposed to be purple." I was like,
Purple, like
I've never seen a purple sweet. I've never they're just so many differences, but at the end of
Yeah.
the day, we're all the same people,
Sweet
right?
potatoes.
yeah,
I
sweet
love-
potatoes.
I love sweet
I don't know,
potatoes.
like I don't
all
know
sweet
if
potatoes.
I wonder if some Africans like us feel a certain type of way, like African Americans are better Do they
My whole life,
or the
I've
other
heard
way
opposite.
around? Or like
No, I
African Americans think Africans are better?
I don't know. I think it's a perception that
Yeah.
African, all right, this is being very stereotypical, but I feel like Africans, because of what they perceive African Americans to be like, oh, they're thugs or they do drugs or they don't want to go to school. So then it's like, oh, we're better. Like at least, like we've come here, we've worked hard, and we've hustled to do, and like, oh, they already are here and they have all these opportunities, and why aren't they?
They don't use
That's the power of the media.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the power of the media and how divisive it can be.
Right.
Like literally you can turn on your news and be like, wow, this is how Africans act. And then you
Right.
hang around a group of them and you're like,
What?
that ain't what I seen on TV.
Right.
And now your mind is blown. But it's like, is it really that far of a stretch to think that these people can be civilized? Like,
right.
No, seriously, like you have to think people outside of our race really look at us like we're just these super beings. Like, wow, your hair really does that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you can stay outside all those hours? We're
Sure
not
can.
a monolith. No, seriously. We're really looked at like a monolith. And then when we venture outside of those boxes and those stigmas, it's just like, huh?
How? How did you
How?
do that?
How did you do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're scientifically the same people, except hue.
Yeah.
Right. Right. No, and I think I brought this up in conversation that as Africans, would we send our kid to an HBCU?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like there's always aspirations of like, oh, go to Harvard or go to Yale or go to UT in Texas.
Yeah.
But then like as Africans, like, oh, if our kid wants to go to Howard or they want to go to Clark or they want to go to Spelman, like
It's looked down upon.
yeah. But I remember when I was like looking at college school, I wanted to go to Howard. I was like, that was my like
Yeah.
yeah, because I was like, to me, I feel like there's just something about being with like educated, like-minded people that look like you, and that you see like that are successful. That's an example of where you can go.
Absolutely.
So I think we should, as Africans, should expand our horizons instead of being like more focused on.
As Black people, I graduated from an HBCU, FAMU. Shout out. FAMU. But I honestly believe Black people in general should have the HBCU experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Period.
I'm really sad I missed
Talk
out on that.
explain more for those that listen in and don't understand what that is.
Okay, so
HBCU.
there's a PWI. I started out at a PWI, which is a
What's a
publicly
PWI?
white
Oh, okay.
institution, predominantly white institution.
Okay.
And a HBCU is a historically Black college or university.
Mm-hmm.
So the experience is different. Starting out at a school where it's just like, not saying it's strictly academic focused, but it's like the rigor for academia in a PWI versus the HBCU is a little bit different. Only because of you think about it, it's funding, it's resources.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
Like nothing really changes as far as the differences in public schooling and private schooling. It's just all amount of funding.
Right.
Like whoever gets the most funding gets the better resources.
Right.
And most HBCUs do not get that because it's funded. A lot of the alumni
are
help
funding
fund that.
it.
But then when they leave, it's just like, I ain't got no
There's
money for that.
nothing.
Or they
Yeah.
just don't remember the college.
Oh wow.
But I absolutely enjoyed every moment I spent at the HBCU.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's nothing like being in community with people who look like you.
Right.
Who
Understand
think like you, who understand you don't
They
you,
see
it's like
you.
going home
Yeah.
when you
Right.
can't be at home.
Right.
Right.
Like there were so many times I was homesick and I was like, I just want to be with my mom. But then it's like you go out there and you're embraced by community. It lessens that ache of being homesick.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think everyone should experience it. And it's going back to resources. I didn't see much of a difference as far as education wise.
Right.
With the PWI and
Like
the
the
HBCU.
quality.
No, absolutely. It's like I said, it goes back to media, and there's a European standard that has been set as far as education, as far as what you should look like, as far as where you should go, and just
Right.
like there's this rigor that we have to go through, and it's like,
Yeah.
but there's no difference with an HBCU. Like I feel like I had a better experience at the HBCU all around because that's what they look for in college. When you
Right,
graduate. They
right.
want an all around,
Experience.
well-rounded
Yeah.
person,
Right.
And I got that at an HBCU.
So mad I didn't go to an HBC.
It's
I
never
know.
too late. It's
So
never
mad.
too late.
No, but I feel like to live on campus and then the Greek
Yeah,
life.
do that
I feel like
whole-
there's
I didn't
just
live on
something about,
campus,
like,
but that Greek life was lit.
right?
I was at all the step shows. I was at all the probates. Listen, everybody, the Q dogs, the alphas, the AKAs, the delta. It's
Yeah.
listen, a different world painted. I don't know how it I don't know
How
the
it
process
is.
of how it was in Uganda.
Yeah.
Right.
But over
Staying
here
on
in
campus,
the States,
yeah.
it was like that's the top. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, if you gonna go to college, you gonna be like Hillman.
Like
For
you had to
real.
stay on campus.
No, yeah. I mean, a
Staying
lot
on
of
campus
people.
was the in thing.
Oh, yeah, to have the experience
Yeah.
of dorm
Yeah.
life.
Especially
and-
being
on
young,
your
like
own.
you know,
Right.
it's your first taste of independence.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I think in Uganda, most people preferred like going back home. Yeah,
Being
Like
close
living
to
with their
home.
being
parents?
close. Yeah,
Like you
like
don't
every
live
day,
on
like
campus.
you don't live on campus. But I did, like I was in boarding
Wait, for college?
since my
At university?
no, I since I was.
But that's true,
a
because in UG, what do they have
Since my
those-
primary to
Yes.
yeah, like hostels.
But that's
and
still like dorm
dormitories.
life, right?
Yeah, dorm life.
Yeah.
Dorm life is, I think, our high school where you're staying
Wow.
at school.
See, that's
Yeah,
interesting,
and I loved it. I
looks
enjoyed it,
amazing.
like everything. Yeah, you
I grew
could
up
be
on
a bad
BBC
child.
and it was just like, oh man. Honestly, I think a lot of foreign education. First of all, if you look at where America is as far as education,
Right.
girl, we like 50. We at the bottom of the list. So like no one
Right.
is jealous of the American education system.
Right,
Like,
right.
It does not matter if you went to MIT or not.
Yeah.
Like no one is jealous. But I was looking, I lost my train of thought. Just that quick. Yes. I've always looked at just a lot of foreign education as superior to American education. Like you guys have the opportunity to, like you said, live in high school?
Yeah.
High school.
Right.
Girl, you know
Yes.
what the pinnacle of my high school was? I got a phone.
Right.
I got a blue Nokia phone. Y'all remember the blue Metro Nokia phones? And I could play Snake on it. I was grown. You couldn't tell me nothing. And then I got a job. Like that was high
it,
school.
yeah.
Right.
I didn't feel like I always felt different than my friends
Yeah.
and the people that I was around. But like I wanted that. I wanted to wear the uniforms. I wanted the
Structure.
foundation. Yeah,
Right.
I wanted that.
Yeah.
My friends wanted to
That's
be
interesting.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
No, I want to
Right.
wear the uniforms.
Yeah.
I think that is so awesome.
That's crazy.
That's
'cause We'll be
interesting.
over here like, had to go and iron our uniforms. Use an iron that you can't even plug in. No, that was that. But I will say, even though I guess everything has its ups and downs, but I definitely do like that structure was, I think, something that you take it up into your
Yeah.
adult life for
Absolutely.
sure. There's a certain way that they'll like help you organize and stay organized, like from dorm life and then to the classroom. Like you're always kind of walking this rope.
Structure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But look how
I
that
enjoyed
plays
it. I
in all
loved
other
it.
areas
Yeah.
of your life.
Right.
Yeah. Like look at like health wise, you become very like focused and
Yes.
very
Yes.
structured on that. Like your
Right.
finances, you become structured.
Oh,
When you have that type of
yes.
discipline,
Yeah.
Right.
you become a certain type of person. And I feel like the American educational system is
Lacking that.
all of that.
yeah.
Right.
Especially public education.
Right.
They stripped our students from all of that.
Right.
And then they're like, all right, go out and be adult.
Yeah.
Right,
What
right.
can you do with the education that we didn't give you? What?
I think she has brought up a good point, and I'm suggesting we should have a topic about education
Yeah.
here and
that's my
back home,
tea.
like
Yeah.
because we should.
No, and I think that definitely, molds like a society. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like if we're not educating
Absolutely.
or pulling funding from, like, now you take away pre-K, like you don't want to educate.
Yeah,
You want to wait to educate kids until they're what, 5,
Five,
6 years
because
old
of their
because of money,
birthdays. I was like,
Yeah.
and
or
money?
because
I
you
was
don't want to
like,
pay for it. It's
wow.
like, what are we
Yeah.
spending money on? So I feel
the
like
police.
that.
She said it. The police.
Exactly.
Oh,
But that's
I'm
so-
sorry.
No, but that's so
I'm the
true. It's
Kanye
like-
of this show.
But it's the truth.
No,
It's
the
the
truth.
that's
because,
what
like,
we mean when we
Yes.
say defund the police. Take the
Yes.
billions of dollars that you're
Right.
putting into this system,
Right.
and take that
fund
money and
something
put it in
else.
healthcare, put it in
Yes.
education. Our
Education,
old
uh-huh.
people can't even get old. Like they can't even be
Yeah.
old.
Right.
Because they're scared for your life.
I know that doesn't sound as eloquent as it should, but
Yes,
like
but
our
there's
senior
no room
citizens
for
can't
them
even
to do
age.
that.
I look at the way that
Yes.
my African friends take care of their parents when they're older.
Right.
African Americans are in no place between high school and graduating college. We're in no place to be able to take care of our parents. The
Right.
system doesn't set it up for us to do that.
Right. Right.
And then our not black counterparts look at us like, well, you guys had the same opportunities, but you
Right.
had a
No,
400-year
yeah,
head start.
Right. Exactly.
We
You
were
had a
being
head
held
start
at
that
the
we helped you
starting
build.
line.
Yeah.
I know. I was just telling someone the other day. I was like, when you even think about like the civil rights, my mom was born in 1960, and
Yeah.
1968 is that when
I believe it was
so 64 when
For
that's
yeah.
like my like right before my mom was born
Yeah.
is that.
Girl.
And then you still had like Jim Crow and all these things. So it's
Yeah,
like
to go
there you
through.
can't even say that that African Americans should be in this point when it's like not even a generation like the current generation
Yeah.
like was experiencing all these setbacks and systemic racism. Then it's like how can you
How?
expect their children
How?
How?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've literally
better
been
themselves.
running a
Right.
relay from passing the baton from generation to the
Exactly. Yeah.
generation. We have had no rest.
Right.
No rest, but you want us to keep up with you? How?
How? Right.
How? We don't have the same resources.
Right.
We're not a trip like man, the ignorance of some people really baffles me. Like how do you feel that a group of people who have been set in a cage, so to speak, because
Right.
that's when you think about it, figuratively, that's what we've been
Yeah.
placed in.
Right.
And then you want us to gain as much opportunity
like you.
and as much
Yeah.
wealth
Right.
as you.
Right.
If you look at the Beyonces and the Jay-Z's, like they're outliers.
Exactly.
Everyone can't be a Michelle and a Barack.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of us gonna be Boosie. Some
Right.
of us gonna be like, hey, and I ain't not talking about Boosie. I don't know, Boosie.
We got
But like
questions.
everyone can't be up at the top of the ladder.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
No, it's, and I feel like even as as Africans and immigrants, like we need to, since we're here in this country, we need to understand that history
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a legacy that like we've been adopted into, and that our kids and us are like forced to be in because we're all the same color. You know what I mean? So no one's gonna differentiate that. Oh, you're from Nigeria and you're from Wisconsin.
It's
I don't-
not
you know,
just Africans. It's also
Or,
it's
uh,
Caribbean
minorities.
people also.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of Caribbean friends who feel like they don't associate. Oh no. I'm
that is
Haitian.
not their fight.
I'm Haitian. Okay.
Especially
You're
Haitians,
black.
like, yo,
Like, they don't
exactly.
associate- yeah.
There was
like,
a
do you
point.
know
There
your
was a
history?
point in time in the States where it was just like, nah, you're not like black. Oh, we got an issue with that. Like when I was in Florida, if you were Haitian, it
You
was
know,
a problem
black?
with that in South Florida. Yeah, like if you weren't just like American black,
Yeah.
certain people just don't get along with people who aren't because of the media,
Media.
because of what
Right.
media has
Yeah.
painted. Like, those Africans feel like,
They're sad.
but there are 54 countries. Which African are you referring to?
Exactly.
Who
Thank you,
who
ma'am.
feels this way about you?
Yeah.
Right.
All those Nigerians. One Nigerian felt that way
Yeah,
about
makes
you.
everybody bad.
Now
yeah.
everyone is this way.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're good. No, I think it's a
2
learning
minutes.
curve, and I think especially now I think everyone is embracing, especially
Absolutely.
like and being allies and working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now it's like I feel like the turn, like everyone's going to like Ghana for all these parties. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's like the new
That was-
vacation
yeah.
spot. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, when did
When
this
you've
happen?
been
Yeah.
deprived of all that culture, and when you're black and you already know it's lit, but then you realize that the people who aren't from where you're from, it's even more lit. Oh, I'm trying to get lit over there.
Right?
Give me that passport.
Right?
Run them stamps. We going to Ghana.
right?
And I think now because of the role of social media, because like before
Absolutely.
Right.
it was what you see on TV or what's portrayed by movies that are made, by these white producers and all that good stuff. Like that's what they're showing at home or even like here. That like I feel like actually I think we've had 2 waves of maybe like a come together moment.
Yeah.
First coming to America, I think Black Americans and Africans in Africa,
yes.
were like, oh yes, like even though it was a bit exaggerated,
Yeah.
Right.
but it was still a bit of a come together,
Right,
moment.
right.
And then the second one was Wakanda. Like
Oh,
I've
yes.
never
I
that
feel
was
like
the
yes. That should have been one that we are together. Yeah.
Yes.
Like Wakanda forever.
I was so
You know,
joyous when
it
that
was
movie came
it
out.
felt so good.
It felt
And
so
then,
good.
You
Yeah.
know, now the wave of African music getting
Right.
played
Yes,
on
it's getting
radio.
everywhere.
It's like, oh
I
man, this
love
is
it.
so great. So I think social media, I mean, of course, I think that would, if social media was around in the 90s when Coming to America came out,
Right.
It would
I
have
feel like
made a
we would
difference.
be
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
further as
Yeah.
a Black community, you
Right.
know? But now that this is here, I feel like we kind of have the ability to change what the narrative is.
Exactly.
You know, and say like, no, like this is like I will say I was really kind of taken back, maybe a little impressed, I might say, because
Oh, I wonder what this is.
no, because what's this comedian's name? And his act used to just grind my gears.
Oh,
Michael Blackson.
As soon as she said it, I was like, I already know who you talking about.
I feel like you did not help.
Right. It's
He
like every
really did.
stereotype
You did not
of
help
African.
that
Africans.
stereotype because there was this idea that like Africans are kind of ditzy,
Right.
and a bit
Yes.
slow.
He literally promoted
And
the
that
African
is
booty
what he
scratcher,
went on.
like
yes,
the African booty scratcher.
that was
Seriously,
you.
it was just like
African booty
I
scratcher.
don't know.
Who knows?
Listen, it's because they it's like what they make Black Americans like we're monkeys. Like we're
Right,
monkeys
yeah,
and
yeah.
monkeys scratch their ass.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, can I say that?
Yeah.
Monkeys scratch their ass.
that's
So,
where-
we're
So that's
coons
where-
and y'all are African
Yeah.
booty scratchers.
Right.
And it was just like,
Okay, that
wow.
did
It was like
At
it would
all.
grind my gears.
And then I feel like he got every African role. I'm like,
yes,
come on.
like this is what part of Africa are you
I
even
know.
representing? We don't even understand.
Girl,
Your accent
seriously.
is
really
terrible.
I don't know.
He
Google it. He
From
is
where?
from where? Yoshimi.
He's from
Ghana.
Ghana.
Like,
No,
Okay.
Ghana, you
come
need to take
on.
that one back.
Seriously,
wow.
that was no good.
He's Ghanaian.
At least he's African. Listen,
I
I would feel some type of way. I'm actually Asian.
The reason I brought that up is because, like, okay, so K. Michelle and Tamar Braxton
Oh,
are beefing,
yes,
right?
I just saw
And
that.
then you heard her voice note when she was
Yes.
trying to, she was
Make fun of-
making fun of her of Tamar Braxton's
Husband.
boyfriend.
Really?
Because he's Nigerian.
I
Yes,
think so,
yes.
yeah. And people
David?
were
Is it
lighting
David?
her up under
Yes.
the
She
car.
deserved it.
him.
And they were like, "This is xenophobic as fuck. It's
Right.
Yeah,
it's
that
not
is so
black.
wrong.
It is
Yeah.
terrible. Like how?" And I was like,
Especially during this time when you're all trying to become
Exactly,
together.
exactly.
yeah,
Like,
like, what are you doing?
Where is the line crossed? Do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
for so long, Black Americans have made jokes and have used the accent.
Right.
It's literally goes to all countries. Like, hey, like,
right.
oh, where are you representing?
What
Africa.
used to piss me off was
Yeah.
when they'll do
I
the
didn't
clicking.
understand that. I never understood that until I heard some
Why?
languages that do use it. And
Yes.
it's like, okay, I get it, but not everybody sounds
Not
like
everybody.
that.
Right.
Not
It'd be
everybody
like you're
does.
African. Oh, let me start clicking right away.
But it's
And
just the
then it's
ignorance
just
of
like-
everyone, you
Right.
know?
Yeah,
Like
We
white
both
people
had
think
our
we're like,
parts.
yo, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
They try to
I
talk
love
like-
when they're
yeah.
just when they try to talk like how black girls talk. Like, well,
Oh,
let me. I
So
had a white girl do that to
cringe.
me, and I was like, "Ma'am,
Oh, no.
at not one point did I raise my finger or whirl my neck at you."
Uh-huh.
I said, "But,
I can't.
but."
It can come out.
This
if
is
you
why I
let it
love
to.
being around black people because there are social cues, nonverbal.
Right.
that it does not matter where you're from. You can pick as soon as I give you that eye contact. You already know
know
I
it,
sound. You
yeah.
know, and you can sit here and have a whole conversation about the person right next to you.
Right.
And it's like it's not awkward. It's not awkward at all. No, this is just how we talk.
Non-verbal.
Nonverbal cues.
I am not threatening
Yeah.
you, ma'am. These are just my eyebrows.
Jasmine, what are you having?
Listen, I'm telling you how afraid of us they really, truly are.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
A hairstyle is threatening to them.
Right.
Yeah.
I wear Bantu knots and these people look at me like, I think she's going to rob the store.
No, the first time I braided my hair at my job, one of the late
I love it. I love it. I already love it.
honey, we were in the break room and she was like scared to look at me and scared to ask. Then later on in the day or a day after, she's like, "Oh, I didn't realize that was you."
Yeah.
No, Susan.
Like,
I changed
My favorite
face.
is
No.
when you
She's like,
come.
"Oh, I didn't realize that was you."
Stop.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, it's
They love to do that. My favorite is when they're just like,
but why?
your hair grew so long.
Oh, like, oh my God, your hair.
We have these pills
like, yeah.
within our culture. We take them at night, not melatonin.
Or even like, it's a herb. You put it on your
These juices and berries that we use.
that we put in our hair.
They're
you
jealous
know?
of our hair.
Or they're like, "Oh,
Everything.
is that yours?"
Yeah.
Oh, and they be liking to ask that loud.
Yes.
Is that an
Almost
extension?
Like winking, like,
Is that a weave?
No, I've had those questions so many when I wear my wig, so they just come in.
Oh, my favorite is when they're just like, I love your hair.
No,
And you got to hit the
we were at a
matrix.
Christmas party, like a work office Christmas party, and so we were going through my pictures. I was showing someone my styling thing, and I showed her one of the pictures that Sada Images took when I had my big hair.
Oh, Jesus. I already know where this is
I
going.
almost fell on that floor. I was like, "Oh my God, is this your hair? Like, it is so curly, so beautiful." I was like, "Yes, it is." I told her, "Yes, it is my
But you
hair."
want to know the
Yeah,
bad
before
side
I
of
cut
that?
my hair.
The bad side of that is having to go to a job interview and told that your hair is too much.
yes.
Really? To your face?
I had to decline a
Really?
job to this man's. It was a black dude. And you know how you're like, you know how your
Are you
spirit just feels that
serious?
disconnect when somebody about to approach you about
Yes.
something, something you cannot control. Like,
Right.
I'm black, I can't control my hair.
Right.
Wow.
He's like, is there any way you could tame it?
Oh.
Huh? I said, tame it. What do you mean? Is there any way you could
Not
do something different with it so it could fit under a hat? I said,
No
It's-
way.
I said, sir, this is my natural hair. It will do whatever I want it to do. He goes, well, I mean, it just has to do something different.
you
It can't be as
serious?
wild. I said, sir, I'm going to have to decline this job.
Are you
Because if
serious?
you as a black man feel
man,
comfortable
exactly.
about my
coming
hair,
to me
like-
in my face telling me, and then he took me to HR and he paraded me. He goes, so is her hair okay? Can
Are you
girl
serious?
to a Hispanic woman and to a white man. He's just
Asking
like
them about your
my
hair.
hair, asking them what is acceptable
What
for
they
me to
think
do
would
with
do
my
that.
hair.
Can you imagine?
How dare you?
And it's
How
like
dare? But that's not
natural.
the first time. When I did the military, I had locks. The lady told me, my captain told me, she says, at the time braids and locks weren't acceptable. They said it wasn't professional. She said, "Is there something that you're going to do with this?
With your
Are
hair?
You, what she said? Are you dedicated to this hairstyle?" I said, "They're locked." She said, "But it's not accepted in the Air Force." I said, "What are you talking about?"
Oh my
So
God.
I permed it and then I shaved it,
Oh wow.
and then I got.
Oh
kicked
my
out.
God. Yeah, there was recently
Wow.
a video that there's somebody in the army that posted and they were coming at her about her baby hairs. Like she had done a little swoop,
Because they say it's out of regs.
yeah, and she
Oh,
was
and they
like,
said she couldn't. But
were
it was
like-
way down.
I know. I'm like, what do you want her to do? What, like her hair is literally like it can fit under a hat.
All right.
I remember them telling one of the, because you know, black women come in all shapes and sizes.
Right.
And I remember them telling one of the thicker side black girls that she had to change her uniform shorts because she had too much exposed. She was like, I have the largest size shorts y'all have. I can't help it that y'all only made these for European girls. I got hips, lips, and fingertips. What you want me to do? Your uniform doesn't fit my body.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah,
But that's the
I think whenever we come from home as like Africans, like when we get here, that's when you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, you start to pick up on those little cues here and there, and it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, like I was watching Bob and Abishola. Bob Hearts Abishola.
So
think
you're
it's
just
Bob
now
Martin.
turned on to that show.
I know
like
you
a
told
long
me about
time
it
ago.
like a long time ago, but I finally got my DVR. Actually, leave me alone. I'm watching the show now. Anyways, so she was on. No, you made me lose my train.
Sorry.
How is that show? Like how
It's pretty
It's pretty
good.
good. I
feel like it's insulting. No? I feel like
No.
Americans really want to fetishize this interracial thing. I feel
Ah.
and I feel like just like with the LGBTQ, like I feel like we really want to fetishize things. So we have to like bam, bam, bam,
Put it out
constantly.
there.
Like I know gay people exist.
Yeah.
I know interracial couples exist.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't want to see them on television,
Yeah.
but it's like I feel like we like just like when I look at some of these artists and like celebrities now with this whole Black Lives Matter movement, it's just like but last month you was talking about nigga, 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 nigga. Now all of a sudden you for Black Lives? Like
right.
you to me, I always look at the message that's happening behind
Right.
what it is that you're putting in
that
my
No, I
face.
definitely agree with that. Like how Band-Aid now is doing like flesh tone Band. I'm
And
like,
that's been
yeah,
out
all of a
for so
sudden-
long.
So long, yeah.
So long.
Yeah.
Like you just now realize that.
Oh yeah,
Black
but
people
it's
exist.
Black people
Black
as
exist,
soon as
yeah.
Black people put their voice to it, understand how the media works,
Yeah.
they will put their dollars behind
Yes,
it.
Right.
now they are. Yeah.
They will
Right.
definitely because we have the largest spending power.
Right.
The 1% is the 1% for
Yeah.
a reason.
Right.
We have the largest buying power. Like
And I think during the last couple of weeks where people have been buying, supporting Black
small Black
businesses,
yeah.
I think they've made more sales. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
some
we deserve
companies
it.
are like selling out. They don't
Yeah.
have much like to give out.
Good.
Yes.
I'm like, good for us.
Good.
Yeah.
I know.
So do you guys think okay, now that we're on the topic of businesses, right? How can we get more traffic? Like how can we include African supermarkets in the talk about supporting
Supporting
black
Black-owned
businesses? Like
businesses.
what can African supermarkets, I guess, do to say like, hey, like you don't have to be just like West African or East
To buy
African to
from
shop from
our
here.
store.
Like
Yes.
this is a Black establishment. Period. Like,
Yes.
what do y'all think?
I think
Can
it's such a
change.
niche because, of course, I think it's hard because I feel like especially African stores is more of a word of mouth thing. So
Yeah,
there's not
true.
like they're not advertising
Yeah.
or to like even make it known that we sell things other than like
Just
there's a
African
plethora-
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
Like, we're a grocery store, so if
There's
you want to pick
spices.
up,
It's like a normal
Yes.
grocery store.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think
That's-
I think we could take like okay, like you just mentioned spices. Most of the spices that are there are African spices. But I
spices.
think we could do a little bit more of like selling other Black owned spices. That, okay,
Right,
like
yeah.
you're in DFW and you make some spices, I can have a section for them.
Right.
right? I think also the stores need to have product that attracts people other than Africans.
Yeah.
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 That's true because most stores actually attract only Africans.
Yeah,
Because
and
that's
even
what they're
sometimes when
selling.
you go into
Yeah.
a store, it's like, oh, this is a West African store. I should
And
get
you
out.
can
but it's
easily
not-
tell. You can
It's
easily tell.
necessary though. I feel like that's necessary though to I don't want to say segregate yourself, but to isolate and make yourself as independent within your cult, like within the neighborhood. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I feel like there has to be an African market solely in every neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Not saying not to integrate with Black Americans, but I feel like more so than integrating your product, it's integrating your business mind.
Right.
Like there are a lot of business things that more of my African friends know about than my Black American friends. Now, when you were saying that it's word of mouth, Black people is word of mouth, and we market
Yes.
every
Right.
Yeah.
We sell it out the
That's
trunk. We
true.
sell it at the
Right.
church.
Yeah.
We sell it at the corner store. We
Right.
will
Yeah.
we will market everything, and I feel like that unity
Right.
needs
Yeah,
to
needs
have
to be-
happen.
yeah,
There
that's
needs to
right.
be a dissolution of this. Well, Africans don't want to work with Black
Right.
Americans because they feel like we're lazy, and Americans are this. Like they're. I think right now what we're realizing is that at the end of the day, they all look at us as Black.
Right.
Right.
Does
Exactly.
not matter where we're from.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we need to integrate those resources
Right.
versus I really like the standalone African market because it
Right.
gives us a place to come to
Come to,
Right.
yeah.
outside of our culture.
Right.
It's a part of our culture.
Right.
So integrating just those business methods to me.
Would
Yeah.
be
I feel-
beneficial.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
good point.
Yeah. I want to go back to the point that you brought up about fetishizing interracial couples, because like now that you mention it, I hadn't picked up on it. I think I was more focused on
the African I feel like when I first watched the show, I was like, oh, the fact that there's an African, and then they say,
I was excited.
African, I was like, oh wow,
Abishola, her
The Nas?
accent.
I love
I haven't
it.
watched it, but I think I've heard you talk about it.
And then they also address, they have a black friend, and then they address the issues that we're talking about now, like that kind of static that we had mentioned earlier between Black Americans and Africans. So I think that's what I'd focus so much on. But like what is with the, why wasn't Bob black? Why wasn't Bob African American?
That's the difference in thinking between Africans and African Americans, because we understand the American media. We're just like, tried it.
Yeah.
Right.
But Africans are just like, wow, there's one of us on TV.
Right.
We're like, we gonna let y'all have y'all moment. We know y'all excited, but really what they trying to do, they just trying to get that kente cloth up off y'all.
All right.
Y'all saw that mess.
All right.
These niggas took a knee and kente.
I know that was.
How dare you, Rocco?
No, that one I was so disappointed. I was like, that is pandering at the worst.
To the max.
I was like,
It's
and
like-
then taking a knee. I'm like, it's such like, come on.
I'm like, half
like,
y'all
y'all
do some
struggle.
real work and
Yeah.
leave all that
Right. Leave all this.
kente cloth.
This is
Taking
the
things for the
importance
picture.
of diversity.
Yeah. Diversity.
You
And
don't
then
understand the
Pelosi
depths
up
of
off
your
the floor.
ignorance. I'm like, half y'all couldn't even get down there without assistance. You knew it was a bad idea halfway down. You would have been like, sorry, Hoss, I'm gonna sit this one out.
But you know, Cory Booker was the only one that didn't wear. And then people were giving him like hell because he didn't wear it. But I'm like, I wonder if he was like,
This is stupid.
He thought the same thing everybody else
exactly.
thought. Y'all really gonna do this?
Are we really doing this, guys? They're in
All
our
of
group
us?
chat. Really, guys? Are we doing this?
I think I got Rona. I'm gonna sit this one
right?
out.
So how can we reduce the gap and increase the information?
Communication.
Communication.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
communication
communication,
and education, educating ourselves. Like
More
I
about
feel like
each other's
on
culture.
Juneteenth was the first time.
Woo!
Like I knew
I didn't know
exactly.
about
Happy
it.
belated Juneteenth.
I know.
Yes.
No, I didn't even know about it.
Like I didn't know
until
that there was a
recently.
flag.
I'm like, oh,
There's a
oh, there's a flag.
Yes.
Oh,
flag.
Google the flag.
I wanna see the flag.
there is.
I didn't
What?
know that.
I did not
Well,
know
I didn't know
that.
about the
The
day.
reason that was the day they had to travel all the way to
All the
Galveston
way.
to tell
Yeah.
those slaves that they were free 2 years
2
later.
years
2 years
So
later.
everybody else
The ones in
understood
Texas
was free, but the ones
In
Like
Texas.
word hadn't traveled all the way.
Understand how things were operated. Everything was
Yes.
Pony Express.
that day,
Yes.
and they found out like 2 years
And
later.
you know how many times I've been to Galveston? I've never
You didn't
seen
even
like
know.
any historic monument or
Yeah.
anything
Is it there
commemorating.
anywhere? Is there anything that shows
That's such
that?
a huge deal.
I mean, I
Deep
haven't
in the
seen it.
heart of Texas.
And
Oh,
That's what they want to change the. Yep.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I
that's
love it.
awesome.
And I
I
know
love
like
it.
some companies that didn't work, that worked half day. to
Yeah,
recognize
because
that
it's
it-
just
and then
not
my
They ain't got
company
no
did
choice.
that.
nice.
instead of being like Juneteenth happened.
I know.
Right.
No,
We
what
were
they're
going
saying
behind, like,
is,
chatting with
y'all
our, like,
niggas already got February.
Right?
That's literally what they're.
Exactly.
You got Martin Luther King and you got
know.
February.
You got one day
What?
in January.
That's what
we
they
gave
said.
you
at
They
my
said
job.
y'all will get your 31 days by any means necessary.
That's what they said. At my
Y'all
job.
finna
we
spread
have
it out
our
throughout the
MLK
year.
Day, so that's
No,
enough.
are you serious?
Sophie, your
Damn,
job. I feel like you're gonna need to put them on blast one of these
Yeah.
days because
no.
I know when
That,
Sophie's
like-
closet.
Oh no, we not.
Right?
We ain't saving nobody.
Can you
This the
imagine?
year of 2020. We ain't saving nobody. Everybody's on the
Okay,
chopping
can we
block.
not- No, nah.
What?
Nah.
Now they're talking
You just
about
have
what is
enough
it
days.
like ally fragility or ally fatigue? Talking about the allies are tired.
Yes.
Hey,
I saw that on
it's been
Twitter.
like how long?
Yes.
Like 3 weeks.
started.
Right?
People have been in this race for years.
Yeah, 400
generations.
we ain't even an eighth into this race.
We are not yet
And you
tired,
over
and
there
they're
like,
tired.
Listen, if this
3
was a
weeks?
track, we barely made it past the 40-yard dash. Like, Where you thought we was running to?
I think they were like, this is a trap.
No wonder you guys are tired.
Yo, but seriously,
Oh,
guys, fellow Africans, and actually, you know what? Even I would say the older generation, because I feel like us guys, it's like, we get it. We're here and like we're learning,
Yeah.
we're picking up. But I feel like the ones that we really need to educate, of course, our children, and
Baby
definitely the older generation,
Yeah.
because like
Right.
they would just be, they
Eh,
be making
no,
comments.
what
I know what is this.
It's the whole baby
that's
boomer
what-
generation.
yes.
That
The whole
mindset.
yes,
that mindset
exactly.
has to die.
Yeah.
Look at all
Right.
the people who are in charge. They're literally in that
yeah.
era
Right.
of people
Yeah.
who are. My mom was born 2 years after World War II, bro.
Oh, wow.
My mom was old. That's why I said my parents old. My dad was born before.
World War II.
Dad was born in
Wow.
1942.
Wow.
So they've seen a lot. And it's-
Right.
Wow.
Like to
Well,
me, my
that's
parents
true,
were
that's
just my
true.
parents, but people would be like, "How old are your parents?" Those are my grandparents.
Shut up.
But I felt so close to all of my foreign friends because I'm like, I don't know what they got going on. But my parents strict like y'all parents. I can't have sleepovers either. What's y'all life about? Like you guys have always been more interesting to me. My palette has always been more expansive than the people who were around me. You know?
Right,
And
right.
that's for a lot of the people in the diaspora. Like some people only grow as big as the environment that they're in.
That's
True.
true.
Very true.
That's very
Yeah.
true.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, guys,
Yes.
I think we've come to wait. No, how's that sound go?
End of the road.
Yeah.
Although
we've come to the end of the road,
still I can't let go.
It's all I
belong to you.
We don't have the rights to this song.
song.
Relax. We're just
We're
enjoying
just
ourselves.
acapella.
We're not boys
That's
to
not
men.
Karaoke. It was
Karaoke hour.
Right.
Karaoke.
All right, this has been another classic
has been so
episode
good,
of
yes.
Asking for a Friend, the UG Chick
Chick
Edition. Thank you so
Edition.
much, Jasmine.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you
for coming.
Yes, you have to
and
come back.
discussing with us. You have to come back. We have to talk about your clothing line a
Yes.
little bit
Yes.
more.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And talk about your podcast.
Absolutely.
And
I'll model my clothes that she made for
can
me.
tell
Yeah.
what's the social media
podcast.
handles for your podcast?
So Instagram Instagram is Jazzy So What, and you said you got okay, and Twitter is Jazzy ASAYO. That's about
And the
it.
podcast.
Oh, my podcast is So What Who Cares? That's SEWWHATHUECARES, and it's basically a podcast that's comprised of everything that I hold dear. It's sewing and being black as fuck.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, so see you next time,
All right,
guys.
see you next time.
Peace.
Bye. Oh, follow us on our social media also. It's UG Chick Edition. Asking for a Friend. You know where to find us.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Bye, guys.
And on
fun.
YouTube.
Oh, yes.
we're on
And
YouTube
subscribe.
now.
Please subscribe. Play
guys.
mode.
Subscribe.
This is B-roll.
Yes.
This
and
is B-roll footage. 5.